All right, this is a quick note. This is a shout out to Kid Organic. 99% of this stuff I like. There's probably a few things that don't agree with him with, but he's a SYSBM brother, so I can't be too mad at him. But I was listening to his a couple of his videos on LaVar Ball, and let's talk about what we do agree on before I talk about what we disagree on. Because, like I say, 9 times out of 10, the brothers on the manosphere, I probably agree with them far more than I disagree with them. So let's talk about what we do agree on about LaVar Ball. While LaVar Ball is, as far as a personality, I am not probably that fond of him, but guess what? I like what he's doing as far as taking control of his son's lives and their financial future, and as far as starting a shoe company. I agree with that. In this day and age where you don't have to have a ton of hard to get connections to make shoes. Well, hell, Philip Knight did the same thing back in the 70s when he wanted a form of Adidas to be made. And in the 70s, he couldn't get it done in Germany because they wanted too much money. So he went to another place at the time in Asia that was just starting to boom and starting their manufacturing boom, which was Japan. And he started his Nike company, which is he wanted to make a form of running shoes, which he did. And eventually he expanded out from running shoes, which had a small market, to a bigger market, which was sneakers or basketball shoes. As a matter of fact, I bought my first pair of Nikes because they were the first ones to come out with the white leather, the smooth white leather. I bought my first pair of Nikes basketball shoes back in 1974, way before Michael Jordan even picked up a basketball. And at the time, the best shoe out was as far as basketball were Converse. Still, to my view, the old Chuck Taylor Converse was still the best basketball shoe, even though they weren't as durable and they were heavy. But the thing is that when you stopped on a dime with a pair of Chuck Taylors and that gumshoe, the gumshoe tread on the bottom, you stopped. There was no slide, there was no slip, there was no creep. You stopped on a dime, and if you stopped too hard, you might break your ankles. That's because they stopped you on a dime. To my estimation, the best soles of any shoes for hard court was still Chuck Taylor's, the old Chuck Taylor basketball shoes. Now, when I do think, was it Nike that bought them? I think it was Nike that bought them out and changed the sole, changed and put those Chinese soles on them, where they're hard rubber, even though they're more durable. They're, as far as being on the court, they're shit. But be that as it may, I do like that LaVar Ball, which is genius. Well, it did more genius and more guts. Literally have the balls to actually take his sons and actually brand them before he even makes the NBA. That takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of balls. And I salute him for it, because I wish a lot more black players would actually follow that suit and market their own name, because the NBA markets your name. It makes billions of dollars off of marketing your name. You should, especially our stars, should take their own name and actually, in this internet market, actually brand themselves. Now, if you look like the professor who never played pro basketball, is only about 5'9" or 5'10" at best. He makes $500,000 just on YouTube and marketing himself. So if he can do it, he's not a pro basketball player. The guys in the NBA should be able to do it and make millions or even billions. So LaVar Ball, I salute him. I salute him for that. I salute him for being brash and being unafraid when he goes out there to market himself and market his kids. He's not afraid to take chances. I do like him for that. Sometimes, like, he goes overboard, but hell, that's his ego. Him and Donald Trump have a lot to be in common. That's the only thing I disagree with LaVar Ball doing, is that the President of the United States has to And regardless of what you think about him, has the fortitude to actually go in and speak on behalf of your kid when he doesn't have to, especially when your kid fucked up in a foreign country, in a authoritarian foreign country, in a national incident, and actually says something to your kid. You should have enough class and you should have enough humility to actually send the guy a thank you note. But LaVar Ball, I think Donald Trump and LaVar Ball are cut out of the same cloth. So he's hilarious in that form. And basically, if people want to give you free advertising by putting a mic in your face where you don't have to pay for it, why not? Like I said, Trump did the same thing when he got elected president. The exact same thing, caused controversy, and basically your mouth is your own advertising. So that we do agree with. In the same vein, we do agree. Now we know about Jason Whitlock and what's his name? Don't like them either. Okay, ESPN suck ups. Not too fond of ESPN suck ups, especially if you shade that we are. I know you got to protect your check, but you can be a little bit more diplomatic. You don't have to be attack dogs. Now, let's get to the stuff where we disagree with. Let's get to the mild stuff first, and then we get to the heavy stuff about LaVar Ball, where we do disagree. Okay? DeMarcus Cousins. There are two reasons. Well, there was one reason why I did not believe the Lakers would ever seriously pursue DeMarcus Cousins. If you've ever played ball, or you ever played ball with people, whether it's AAU, pickup, whatever. If you're a gym rat, you know about what's going on with DeMarcus Cousins. Why come he can't stay in one place? He's got the Ron Artest syndrome. DeMarcus Cousins is probably crazy. I'm not talking about psychotic where he's got to go out on the street and shoot people up, but DeMarcus Cousins has an issue. Anybody that fucking talented that you can drop 40 and 20 in a game. You don't have 31 owners on their knees with knee pads and their lips out trying to get you, then there's an issue behind it. Sacramento, as crazy as that freaking owner in Sacramento is, as crazy as is, he basically gave away DeMarcus Cousins for little or nothing. That's hint number one. Same thing with Ron Artest being given away for nothing. It's talent. And Ron Artest, back when Ron Artest was Ron Artest was the shit. Ron Artest was a great scorer, and he was all NBA first defensive team. Ron Artest was a flat out stud. But the reason Ron Artest had issues and he was like radioactive because everybody knew, whether they said it or not, and the NBA does a good job of hiding it, is that Ron Artest was crazy. And anybody ever played ball with somebody else knows that knows a crazy player. You want him on your team, but you hope that motherfucker's medicated. DeMarcus Cousins is one of them guys. I just about bet you. I can't swear by it, but everybody I talk to that's a gym rat, because I'm even though I'm old, I'm a former gym rat. My sister, who played women's ball, is a women's gym rat. My son is a gym rat. My son's semi-pro basketball player. He plays up at the Drew League, which we're going to get into that in a little bit. Even though he's starting to age out, but that kid has been a gym rat since he's been about 9 or 10 years old. Okay? And everybody runs in them circles. And everybody hears. Everybody has ear to ground, because just like if you've been a gym rat and you've been on the court side, and everybody kick back and talk, because all them fellas and played high school ball and college ball, and you all run at the same gyms, and after you get your sweat in and you kick off them shoes, and we all talk about what's going on in the NBA, rumors get around. Second reason about DeMarcus Cousins is the Achilles is the kiss of death for a basketball player. Is the kiss of death. There's two things that you need to effectively play basketball. Besides the back, if you have a bad back, you can't play. Okay, if you have a bad back, you can't do much of anything. So that's automatic. But as far as a basketball player, okay, first thing is your feet. First thing is your feet. Any NBA player, Shaq can show you his feet. Okay, any NBA player can show his feet. Most NBA basketball players have fucked up feet. Okay, okay. If you played the ball with them shoes and you got that many miles on the court, your feet are fucked up. The reason that your the Achilles is the death knell because Achilles are like tread on a tire. If you've ever played ball, how you transfer the power of a jump, of a leap, your quads and your calves through your Achilles. That's how you transfer your leaping power, your jumping power. Now your Achilles will heal. Torn Achilles, they'll fix it. You can be a normal person for the rest of your life with a torn Achilles. But your leaping days are over. And that's if you are a small guard. If you weigh about 190 or maybe at max like Kobe was 215, 220 maybe, and you're 6'6", you might have a shot. But if you DeMarcus Cousins and Marcus Cousins is listed at 265, DeMarcus Cousins is closer to 290. If you're 6'11" and you're 290 pounds and you're trying to jump on a torn Achilles or a repaired Achilles, guess what's going to go next? The other one will go. So you are grounded. Now you may be able to adjust your game to the point where you don't have to jump in and using position. That may happen, but with a very few players or most players are a shadow of what they are after a torn Achilles. And torn Achilles, after you tear them, that means normally your knees go, your feet go, and other things, because the hardest thing to tear in basketball is your Achilles. Knees, feet, groins, maybe hips a little bit, but your Achilles is one of the thickest tendons in your body. When that baby snaps, they are not the same. You are not the same player. So first of all, the Lakers are not going to sign him even cheap until at least 1 year after his surgery. At the very minimum, 1 year after his surgery. And then maybe, just maybe, you have to see how he plays. And I seriously doubt DeMarcus Cousins is going to take a minimum contract or half of what he had. The guy on the court and possibly injuring yourself worse. We'll see. Miracles do happen. But if you didn't want him when he was healthy and you didn't go all in on him when he was healthy, and the Lakers could have gone all in on him when he was healthy. Sacramento was basically giving him away. And the Lakers had, if they had wanted him, they could have gave up at least a couple of their young stars to get DeMarcus Cousins. Because Sacramento was trying to get him out of fucking town. Out of town. So the odds of DeMarcus Cousins coming to the Lakers, and I've never heard Magic or Rob Pelinka or anybody associated with them, or even the Busses, Jim Buss back then, who likes big centers, and Mitch Kupchak, who also likes big centers. DeMarcus Cousins' name never came up, ever. So Magic trying to get him, I doubt that seriously. But we'll see. And I've been following the Lakers since 1968. I don't see it. Me and Magic are the same age. I don't see it. Jeannie Buss would be friends with the dude, or one of the Busses would be friends with the dude if they were thought about courting DeMarcus Cousins. I don't see it. Anyway, let's get on to finish this with LaVar Ball. Now, I've heard a lot of things that are improbable. And I always leave it to people's opinions. But when I heard Kid Organic say that LaVar Ball will coach the Lakers. Now, when the hilarity did ensue, and actually I was lying down and I actually fell out of bed because I was laughing so hard. And I was laughing so hard, I didn't believe Kid Organic would let it come out of his mouth. But he actually said it again. He said LaVar Ball would coach the Lakers. And again, I fell out of bed again and I laughed some more. And so if LaVar Ball had played decent college ball, maybe. If he had been a high school coach, like a winning high school coach, maybe. But because he's a celebrity coach in Lithuania, that's going to actually make him credible or able to come to the NBA and coach. So a coach has never played, never really, was never a star in high level college, never coached in college, never coached high school, was never an assistant in the NBA structure, hasn't built up any bona fides to actually be able to coach. You think that Jeannie, the Buss family, who basically hires from within the Laker family because that's what they do, is going to trust a $5 billion franchise and outvote Time Warner, well, not Time Warner, Spectrum now, and the Anschutz groups who partially own the team. They're going to hire a coach with zero college and NBA experience. Kid, I love you. And I know that you're a straight shooter, that you don't really drink or you don't really smoke or you don't do drugs. That's how come they call you Kid Organic, I'm pretty sure. But I thought, well, maybe you got some contact high, man. There is no way, there's no scenario that the Buss family, that the Buss kids are going to hire LaVar Ball. Jeannie Buss does not like LaVar Ball. Magic is not that fond of LaVar Ball. Pelinka can't stand LaVar Ball. And the only reason that Jeannie Buss and Magic and Rob Pelinka tolerate LaVar Ball is because they love his kid. And that's what I've heard. Most of the NBA players don't really like LaVar Ball. The only reason that they tolerate LaVar Ball because they like his kid. NBA players, I can tell you, NBA studs, and this is pickup game. This pickup 101. Pickup 101. NBA players and ball players talk mucho trash. They talk mucho trash. And if you a ball player and you out there on the court and you can actually put up and back your shit up, they ain't got no problem with it. If you an OG and you talking shit like you back in the day, they'll tolerate you talking trash. They'll tolerate you talking trash because you did something back in the day. But you ain't never stepped between them lines. You ain't never stepped between them lines. You ain't never been in the G League or something like that. Players will laugh at you, but the thing is they don't like that shit. You are not gonna coach. And you better be glad that your kid is gifted. You know, the one thing I saw when I first saw the kid's gifted. The kid's got a gift. The middle one, not so much. He gonna have a hard time making the NBA. I watched this game. He gonna have a hard time making it again. The baby's got a shot. The baby's probably the best shooter out of all three. So we have to see what kind of player he's gonna be. Cause can't tell because he's in high school. But Lonzo has a gift, and Magic sees himself in Lonzo. And that's the reason. That's the reason. Regardless of LaVar Ball, basically Magic campaign for this kid because the kid's got a gift. With LaVar Ball being coach, LaVar Ball being a trainer, LaVar Ball being an assistant coach. If he's part of any part of the Laker organization, I'll tell you what, if he gets to be part of any part of the Laker organization, towel boy, trainer, assistant coach, film editor, any of that, look, I will personally do a whole week of apology videos to Kid Organic. Personally. But last thing about the Ball family. When I saw Lonzo Ball play at UCLA, I knew instantly that Magic was going to take him. If they had a shot at him, and number two, there was a whole lot of people that didn't like him, even though he got ripped up by De'Aaron Fox in the NCAA's. I knew that even with the holes in his game, and that's another thing we got to get about LaVar Ball. If any coach worth his salt, and everybody, we all looked at it. My sister, my son, everybody. We kind of looked at it and said, how did his father let him get all the way to the NBA with that fucked up form in his shot? And you call yourself a coach. I know how the AAU runs. Okay. But any basketball coach worth his salt would not have let his son have that form. I'll give you an instance. Somebody that has good form but no confidence is Larry Nance. Larry Nance should be a much better shooter than he is because Larry Nance has extremely good form. He's got extremely good form and zero confidence, which is probably the opposite of Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball has for somebody damn near 6'7", has extremely poor shot form. Extremely poor. Somebody 6'6", 6'7" can handle the ball that is supposed to be fundamentally grounded in the game. It was actually coached by a basketball coach whose father was a basketball coach. You basically a simple jump stop, which his jump shot form is kind of wanky. It's supposed to have a simple mid-range game. Austin Rivers, like him or not, Austin Rivers is fundamentally sound. He might not be as talented don't have the gift that Lonzo has, but he's fundamentally sound. But Lonzo, with his wanky form, I know if you can hit it, you can hit it. Since he's damn near 6'7", and he basically has a step back that he could shoot at UCLA, and basically 80% of your shot is confidence. The other 20% is form, but 80% of your shot is confidence. And he's got the confidence to shoot. Well, he has the confidence now to shoot the ball, because before he didn't, because his form was so fucked up. And basically, you trying to get it off on the NBA level, as low as putting the ball out in front of you with that kind of form, it's hard to get away with it. And he's scared. He was afraid to get the shot blocked. But he will get better. They're starting to adjust the shot. The fact that shot's not out in front of him like it used to be. It's still not as high as you would like it. Delivery, but it is further towards his body, and his hand is actually going up underneath it. So they have adjusted the form, not completely, but at least they have modified it to the point where he's not afraid of getting it blocked, and his stroke is not as flat. It has more arch to it. So there's that. But LaVar Ball's not a coach, man. Come on, man. LaVar Ball's not a coach. And DeMarcus Cousins, if they pick him up on a bargain basement, maybe, but he has the Ron Artest disease to me. The Lakers actually took Ron Artest, or Metta World Peace. Metta World Peace had to take a big cut in pay, and it had to be okayed through Old Man Bus at the time. And basically, the only reason Old Man Bus actually signed Metta World Peace, or Ron Artest, who he was known at the time, is because I'm trying to remember the player's name. Actually, his agent actually fucked up, and basically he overplayed his hand, and he got sent to Houston. And then Ron Artest was second up, and he actually got okayed and basically won him a title, and he stayed on his medication, and he was normal. DeMarcus Cousins still has issues. But those are the two things that I wanted to clear up. Last thing, LeBron James. I would be shocked if LeBron James came to the Lakers. I would be shocked. I do believe what you see is the Clippers clearing space because they just unloaded Blake Griffin for chump change and expiring contracts. So they are clearing the decks for LeBron James just in case LeBron James wants to come to Los Angeles. LeBron James is not coming to the Lakers. Could they pay him? Probably, because they have the least space for one max player. Are they likely to get him if they can for a guy that's going to be, in his 15th or I think his 15th year? He's going to be 34 this year. Going to be 34 years old this year, and next season going to be 34. And he may at max he's got 4 years. He's got 4 years left in the tank, max. And unless you think you're going to win a championship with LeBron James within a matter of a year or two, busting up your young core and selling off your developed players to make room for him, it doesn't quite make sense. Well, I agree with you. Paul George, I'm not really that keen on Paul George, to be honest with you. I think Brandon Ingram is every bit of Paul George, maybe not as developed just yet, but I think Brandon Ingram is every bit of Paul George, maybe even slightly better, because I think Brandon Ingram is a slightly better defensive player. I think Brandon Ingram is every bit of what Paul George was back when Paul George was in Indiana. And I do remember Paul George in Indiana. So Paul George, yeah. But the one interesting player that I do think may be in the cards, I don't know how people feel about him, but Kevin Love, now that he broke his hand, you could get a deal for Kevin Love if you want a Kevin Love. I don't think there's much out there that's available that the Lakers would want that can shift their team. I think they're actually selling it. I would actually keep this squad. You got one max player. I would see who's available and see who wants to come as one player, keep the team intact. There's players that I would like to see. A player, believe it or not, that if that would be a max player that would actually with Lonzo Ball would actually change the Lakers, and he's right across town. I do believe DeAndre Jordan defensively and rebounding with the players that you have now would make a difference, because he wouldn't have to score very much because you got scorers. He runs and he defends. If the Clippers have a fire sale and DeAndre Jordan opts out and doesn't want to leave his spot, I would just change locker rooms. If you don't go to Houston and play with your boys, which I don't know if they can afford you or not, if you don't go to Houston and play with your boys, and I would just change locker rooms. DeAndre Jordan on the Lakers they would be a formidable team. With the squad that they have now, with the players they got now, and with an upgraded defensive center, because you don't have one, that is your missing piece. You got power forwards, you got small forwards. You might need you could get a cheap backup point guard, but Lonzo Ball is a passer. Talk about Lob City. If I had to pick one guy that was cheap or relatively cheap, could actually change the face of my franchise with the players that I have without giving up too much, and that's the guy I probably would pick. Because you're not going to get Drummond. You're not going to get the boy from Miami. You're not going to get Embiid. Nerlens Noel before the trade fell through for Randall. I like that trade because Nerlens Noel is a decent center, a decent big man. But the rest of the big men you're not going to get, and that's what you're missing. That's who I would pick. That's who I would use to actually make my foray into the rest of the league if I could get him without giving up much of my young core. But that's a big ask. That's what I would do. That's a trade I would make. That makes the most sense. But I doubt that the Clippers are going to allow him to go cross town just because they hate the Lakers so much. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to jump off of here. I think I got enough in. I just wanted to respond to that, to Kid Organic. That's hilarious. That's hilarious coming from an old gym rat, LaVar Ball being coach. Come on, man. I think I even put it in his comments. I said, come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. On what planet? I even ran that by my son. Man, he just looked at me. He just looked at me because my son's old AAU. You know, he ran the AAU, man. He knows all these people, man. He's up at the Drew League. You know, that's the Drew League is his stomping ground. Because if Kid Organic, if you know what I'm talking about, you know the Drew League, then you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, my son's been playing in the Drew League for about 10 years, man, on and off. So I was like, come on, man. Anyway, I'm gonna jump off here. It's all in good fun, man. It's all in good fun. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.